Welcome back to another video. I don't know if you can hear like little tippy tappies, Zeus walking back and forth. It's been raining for a few days, it's very cold, and he can't sunbathe, so he doesn't really know what to do with his life. And you know, who doesn't relate to that? So today we're making a cute little jacket, but before I tell you all about that, if you're new here, hi, I'm Olga and I make sewing content that is usually vintage inspired and sometimes a little bit nerdy. The idea for this jacket came from the video where I made the tartan pinafore dress in like January. So I have a bunch of fabric left over, and here's the fabric. Beautiful like polyester viscose suiting. It's really nice. I also have some lining. I don't know how far this lining is gonna go. I don't know if it's gonna be enough for this jacket. I will leave the links for both of these fabrics in, and also the pattern, in the description. It is an affiliate link from Minerva, in just in case, but yeah, that just so you know. So for pattern, I want to use Vogue 7975. I always switch the numbers of this pattern. I don't know why. So today I really want to go for one of these more like cropped versions. They're not like super cropped, and I have been toying with the idea of making it like almost Bolero style, like a real 60s thing, but I haven't decided yet. It'd be so cute if it like hit right on my waist, and then when I wear the jacket with the skirt, it's like right there. So I really want to do that, and I think I'm just gonna do it. We'll see. That's it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna go get started on this. I can tell it's gonna be a very interesting day. Let's cut some fabric. I decided to start cutting the lining because I had less of it, and I was hoping it would help me decide on the whole like Bolero versus no Bolero situation. It very much did. I didn't have a lot of the lining, but because it is a super wide fabric, it actually goes a really long way. I folded the pattern pieces for view B along the waistline, and then I added some seam allowance straight onto the fabric. This lining, compared to last week's, is such a dream. It is my favorite lining fabric for a reason. It's like got a really nice structure, but still lightweight, and the color range is insane. Also, it's very affordable, so I would highly recommend. The link is in the description as always. Anywho, I cut out and marked my lining pieces, and then I moved on to the main fabric. I again laid out my pattern pieces on it, pinned and added seam allowance to the waistline, and then I cut out the fabric and marked it. The only markings I really needed were the notches and also a square at the undersleeve to indicate where to match it to the side seam of the bodice. So I made that a notch too and call it a day. I also went ahead and cut out my usual Vilene Vlieseline H310 interfacing, and I fused it to the lining yoke piece and also the lining fronts. I do need to get some more of this because I'm starting to run low. Actually, I'll leave it linked below as always. Before I get started with my usual batch sewing, or maybe this is already batch sewing, I'm going to put in the gathering stitches on the sleeve caps. The pattern also calls for gathering stitches on a part of the side seam of the sleeves, but I actually found that it matched perfectly without gathering, so I don't really know what that's about. I do apologize for the poor lighting in some of the video, but it was really stormy outside and the rain was like coming straight at the window, and there was a little leak somehow. It was really weird. So anyways, I had to close the blinds to keep, you know, the rain outside, and well, it led to poor lighting. I do apologize. But yes, I am now pinning everything I possibly can at this point, which includes both my side seams of the sleeves, the side fronts to the fronts, and then the side backs to the back. This jacket is really simple, actually. The fact that it's such a classic clean shape means that it's really quite easy to put together. I stitched all of those seams, and then I moved on to clipping the rounded princess seams and pressing all my seam allowances open. Because I'm lining the jacket, I'm not really bothering to do any other finishes. Then I pinned the front and back of the jacket together at the shoulders and sides, making sure to match the princess seam of the shoulder, and also I'm going to match the notches. I stitched them in and tried on the jacket to make sure the length was good, and I loved it, so I did a little happy dance and then I carried on. I pressed those seams open, obviously, and then I started setting the sleeves into the jacket. Here the pattern says to like ease the sleeve in, but you know I love a dramatic sleeve, so I gathered all of the extra ease up into the shoulder seam and pinned that in place. Next, I stitched the sleeves in, making sure that I'm smoothing the fabric to avoid any tucks, and if there's still any tucks, I just unpick that area and sew it again. I trimmed the seam allowance on the sleeves and then pressed it into the sleeve, and I tried it on again to check the length of the sleeves. It's looking so cute and it's so easy to put together. Like it's unreal. I'm beyond excited about it. I would highly recommend this if you're looking to dip your toe into sewing jackets and coats because it's such a good, easy pattern. You could do this part on the machine if you want or don't mind visible stitching, but I wanted to avoid that, so I tacked the hem in place by hand with slip stitches. Then I put the jacket on my dress form and moved on to work on the lining. The lining is very similar to the jacket, but not exactly the same, so here's how I put it together. I started by diving into my box of trims to find a matching ribbon to add to the lining along with my tag. I went with this little leftover dark blue ribbon that I think matches the jacket fairly well. I found the center of the yoke and pinned on the tag in place, and then I slipped the ribbon under, and I actually stitched the ribbon to both the top and bottom edges of the tag to secure it in place. The first time I ever did this, I only stitched the ribbon to the bottom, and when I first hung up the jacket, the ribbon immediately came off. So I've learned that it's, the 2 lines of stitching are really a must here. Once I've stitched that in place, I trim the excess ribbon off the top and move along. The next step is to stitch along the stitching line marked on the lining back. It tells you to leave a tuck at the top and bottom free, and this is to help with wearing ease. Once I'd pressed that to the side, I pinned the yoke to the center back, matching the centers and notches as best as I could. I also went ahead and pinned the front and side front pieces together, as well as the sleeves, just like I did for the jacket. And then obviously I stitched those seams in place and clipped and pressed them. It's now the next day. It's Saturday. I'm doing some cozy sewing. I'm wearing my fleecy, comfy headwig pajamas. So hopefully we're gonna get the rest of this jacket done today. I only have really the lining to finish putting together and then, put the whole jacket together. So I think I should be able to finish this today. And hopefully I can do this with actual natural light, because yesterday I did most of the filming without it because it's just been the worst weather this weekend. Like the weather is just crazy right now. Today we've already had hail, we've had tons of rain, really strong gusts of wind, we've had thunder and lightning, where now it's really sunny right now with a little bit windy, but like really, really sunny. So I don't know. Anyway, so we have the side back to put on the back piece, and then just assembling the bodice, or like the jacket, I guess, lining, putting the back with the front, and then setting in the sleeves, and then we're just gonna put the whole thing together. So I'm excited to finish it. I really like how it looks. I'm so happy that I did the Bolero height. Like, it just looks so cute, and I think it's gonna be adorable, not only with that dress that I made, the matching dress, but just with lots of things. I wear a lot of high-waisted things. Yeah, I think doing a jacket that hits you right at the waistline is just super cute. Anyway, I'm gonna stop gabbing on and get to work and finish this jacket. So let's get on with it. After I picked an appropriate playlist, which is very important, I started pinning the side back pieces to my center back. I stitched that in and pressed. Then I pinned the front and back at the sides and shoulders, just like I did for the jacket, and stitched and pressed that too. I set the sleeves in exactly the same way as well. Now that I have a complete lining and a complete jacket, it's time to put them together. I simply pinned them to each other with right sides together. In this case, I actually used clips because I kept poking myself with pins and I was getting very, very annoyed. So I matched the seams at the shoulder or neck, I'm not sure, and then I match all of the notches along the front. I stitched the whole thing together, leaving the bottom hem free because I am going to be finishing that by hand. You don't have to finish this bit by hand. You can sew the hem together as well on the machine, but leave a little opening so that you can actually flip the whole thing inside out. Otherwise, you're going to have a big problem. Anyway, once I had stitched the 2 pieces together, I trimmed the excess seam allowance, being extra careful at the top corners.
Then I flip the jacket inside out and give it a really good press. I find using my Tailor's ham is very useful to press the like rounded neck area here. So now it's on to finishing touches. I prepped the hems by pressing in the seam allowance of the jacket, about 1.5 centimeters, and then I pressed the lining up, I think I'm not sure if it was 2 or 2.5 centimeters. I know that it was a little bit shorter than the outer jacket. I also pressed in the seam allowance on the sleeves, again, making them slightly shorter than the outer sleeves. Then I pinned the sleeve linings in place, which is basically pinning them to the sleeve, and then I slip stitched that by hand to the seam allowance of the sleeve hem. For the jacket hem, I also pinned the whole thing in place, or clipped in this case, and then I slip stitched it by hand. The last touch on this jacket though is a very cool trick that Coco Chanel did on her jackets too. I'm tacking a metal chain to the lining of the jacket. I'm just stitching it along by hand, and it goes along the hem, and then obviously this adds a little bit of bling and coolness to it, but mostly it's to add a bit of weight to the jacket so that it always falls really nicely in place. And once I'd sewn that in place, I was ready for the reveal.
There we go. That's the end of the video. I'm really happy with how the jacket turned out. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. So yeah, it's perfect. It fits really well. I love all the details. I don't really have anything to say about it other than I like it. I highly recommend you make yourself a little version of this. I've linked all of the things in the description. There's some affiliate links there, so that's a good way to support the channel if you're looking for one. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot to me. And also consider following me on Instagram or TikTok. I'm most active on Instagram, just if you want to keep up with what I'm doing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.